Number 2, don't forget to have fun, but don't be a class clown. Clowns and leaders don't mix. Clowns can't run a huddle. Number 3, a quarterback throws with his legs more than his arms. Squat and run, fat quarterbacks can't avoid the rush. Number 4, know your job code. This is not a game without errors. Keep yours to a minimum. So that means you need to study. Number 5, know your own players. Who's fast, who can catch, who needs encouragement. Be precise. Know your opponent. Number 6, be the same guy every single day. In condition, preparing to lead. Studying your plan. A coach can't prepare you for every adventure. Prepare yourself, and remember, impulse decisions usually equal what? Mistakes. Number 7, throwing the ball away is good. It's a good play. It's not a sack. Interceptions and fumbles are bad plays. Protect against those. Number 8, you must learn to manage the game. Personal, play call, motions, ball handling, proper reads, accurate throws, play fakes, clock. Don't you ever lose track of the clock. Number 9, passing stats and TD passes are not how you're going to be judged. Your job is to get your team in the end zone, and that's how you regain the judgment. Number 10, when all around the chaos, when you're around the chaos, you must be the hand that steers the ship. If you have a panic button, so will everyone else. So don't panic, or ship will eventually sink. Okay, here's the last and final one. Number 11, don't be a celebrity quarterback. We don't need any of those. We need a battlefield commanders that are willing to fight it out every single day, every week, in every single season. Don't be a celebrity quarterback. Lead their team. You lead your team to winning football games in every single way. Now, who you think that came from?
Bill Parcells.
And that applies to 2 quarterbacks, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, in every single way. And they need to listen to that. You don't need to be a celebrity quarterback. You need to lead your team to victory. You need to encourage your teammates. You need to do all of those sort of things, and you don't need to make it about yourself. You don't need to make it about yourself. And that's where Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, I believe, go wrong all the time.
Yeah, that's.
I agree with that to an extent, Key. I do think things have transitioned, though, more to quarterback or athlete empowerment in football, where guys are building their brands. But I hear the overall gist about what you're saying about Aaron Rodgers. You know, we talked about this yesterday, pointing the fingers to others and not leading with himself accountability-wise. I feel you on that.
You know, I heard
feel him on that.
Key, it's funny because I clown Gettleman all the time as the Giants GM because I thought he was a terrible GM for the Giants. But he comes from a certain school of thinking, old school way of thinking. And when he drafted Daniel Jones, and I was like, what's he doing? What's he doing? And Jones hasn't looked. He looked on and off and spotty. Yeah, he's not going to be. But this year, in a right situation, looks good. He won Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week last week. And they asked him about it. It's a team. This is really a team award, blah, 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 blah. Move it along, right? Everyone's playing great. That's why that. And moved it. He had that exact. He checks a lot of those boxes you just said. So when Gettleman said he's a professional quarterback, and I made it a lot of fun, but I get what he means, and you can apply those commandments to a guy like that and see how he's coming along, and you start to think maybe that guy can win a Super Bowl. And I get Rodgers and Russell Wilson's already won Super Bowls. Rodgers' talent is off the charts. Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl in a kind of style like that, though, but pre-celebrity, right? Running the football, playing defense, doing all those kind of things. And I hear it, maybe because I grew up with that way of thinking, but it sounds right to me.
But that way of thinking, it still applies today. You cannot, I understand player empowerment, that's fine. But if you start to focus in, no matter what position it is, If you start to focus in on self, you're going to destroy yourself because you become the butt of the joke. Russell Wilson is a meme right now. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? The internet, as Jay knows, is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? He talked about working out on a plane. They start putting videos together of him running on the inside of a plane, doing high knees on a plane. He's become the butt of a joke. Now, whether or not he gives a damn, I don't know. But I can surely tell you his teammates are watching, and they're looking at those sort of things like Mark Slayer said.
So
if you are paying attention to the games like I do and like most people do, when he goes to the sideline, people are looking at him and going,
see it.
And when he's trying to high five guys, he has to walk out there and go toward them as they're going away from him to get the high five so he doesn't look silly.
So
I see those things.
So, Key, that's Russell Wilson, but you included Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
And applied it to Aaron Rodgers. He stood by Rodgers, the comments about the Packers offense. He says no one raised an issue with him. Now, one day after his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show, had made waves because Rodgers said, among other things, that players who are, quote, making too many mistakes shouldn't be playing. Got to start cutting some reps, and maybe guys who aren't playing, give them a chance, end quote. Rodgers obviously has a lot of power in the organization. I don't think people are just going to come up to him, hey, why'd you say that, right? Let's get shipped out of town.
Not only that, Max.
Yeah.
You said power in the organization, correct?
Yep.
That is correct. But also, he understands the pulse of the team, who's on the team, right? He understands each receiver. He understands the running back, the offensive lineman, the defensive players. He knows he's not dealing with a Simeon Rice, a Warren Sapp, a Keyshawn Johnson, a Michael Irvin, an Emmitt Smith. He knows that. So he can say those things and not get pushback.
So, Key, I want to play Aaron Rodgers now, and I want you to tell me if it's genuine what he's saying. If anyone on the team is really in a position to do what he suggests, okay? Because there was a lot of criticism of him not saying, Tom Brady's asked the same thing. He's like, we're all in this together, blah, blah, blah. He's not saying any of that stuff Aaron Rodgers is. And a lot of people have pointed out he got 7 rings and Rodgers got 1, even though Rodgers is much more talented. So listen to what Rodgers says here about the comments he made on McAfee and tell me if that could actually happen.
If one of those guys has a problem with it, I'm right here. I'd love to have a conversation. I enjoy those conversations, I enjoy any type of conflict like that because I know the resolution on the other side is going to make us, a better unit, a better friendship, a better cohesion on the field. But nobody's come to me and said, I got a problem with what you said. I think everybody knows, Matt included, that everything's got to take a little uptick, get a little better.
Key, could anyone actually go to Aaron Rodgers or in the position to go to him and start having a conversation? Doesn't he wield too much power for some young pup to come up to him and be like, I don't like the fact that you said that publicly?
Well, that's why I said he understands the pulse of his team. That's why I said that, Max.
Mm-hmm.
There are no Keyshawn Johnsons. There are no Michael Irvins. There are no Simeon Rices. There are no Derek Brookses on his team that are going to say, hold on, man, you got more issues than we do. What are you talking about? So it's easy for him to say those sort of things. Those young players or those players on a team, they're looking to him for leadership. So if he's pointing the finger at people, they just like, what are we going to say? What are we going to do?
Mm-hmm.
He's the $50 million guy. I'm trying to get there.
He
knows that.
You know what the synergy is here? Like I think I'm going to throw out some names here. So you have Draymond Green. You have Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure people are saying, why the hell are you saying Draymond Green and Aaron Rodgers together? What does that have to do with anything, right? And Tom Brady. When I listen to Tom Brady on his Let's Go podcast, it sounds like I'm hearing Tom Brady, but Tom Brady has become so scripted. And like I was with Derek Jeter last night. Even when I talked to DJ at his event, Turn 2, right? It's always on. Like, you're never going to put Derek Jeter in the corner and he's going to tell you something that's going to become extremely controversial. Kind of feel the same way with Tom. But with Draymond and with Aaron Rodgers, it feels like their business vehicle, their podcast or their platform, it's genius. but it feels like it's almost a detriment to their team because they air out dirty laundry.
Yeah, what makes them interesting is the same thing that the reason Derek Jeter was so great. 20 years in New York City for the Yankees, never stepped in it once
Can't catch
in
him.
20
Can't
years.
catch him.
Because he kept it nice and boring, Key. Kept it nice and boring. Draymond and Aaron Rodgers are interesting. Brady and Jeter were boring. Brady and Jeter got all the rings. Now, Draymond got rings, too.
Agreed.
But he's not the number one guy on his team.
But Jeter, that's just who he is. That's the person. He's boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an act. That's just who he is. He's not putting on a show or an act.
Well, he's no. When you really kick it with him, he ain't boring. I'm just saying.
He's boring, Jay. I've been with him for years.
Well, maybe I know him
boring.
differently. I don't find Derek boring. I just
my boring to me
is different. I hear you. I understand.
He's boring to me.